everybody. It is August 29th and time for the Friday Funnies. And let me just say, this is the beginning of the end. And when I say that, I'm not just referring to the Democratic National Convention, but the fact that this is the beginning of the last three-day holiday weekend of the summer. That's right, Labor Day marks the end of the time when you can legally wear white shoes. Unless, of course, you happen to live in Florida and are 80 years old. Which reminds me that the Republican National Convention is next week. Then after the conventions, there will be 2 months of campaigning and arguing and discussions and debates, and that's pretty much just going to be in my own house. Well, as you know, there were no funnies last week because I was traveling across the country. And unfortunately, there will be no funnies next week because I will be where? Salzburg, Austria. That's right, that's where they filmed The Sound of Music. And I'm going over there next week. So when I get back, watch for a special report because I aim to find out if those hills really are alive. That being said, here are the top most important news stories of this week. Well, he giveth, and he taketh away. That's what they're saying over in Rome about the Reverend Antonio Rungi. The Reverend Rungi announced this week that he was going to hold a nun's beauty contest. That's right, it was going to be called Miss Sister 2008. And it was going to be held online, and the nuns would be allowed to wear any black and white outfit they happen to have in their closet. Well, the Reverend Rungi later in the week announced that he is not going to have the contest. After all, he has changed his mind, and he said that in the hopes that he will be removed from the papal hit list. That's too bad, though. It would have been an interesting contest, especially the swimsuit competition. Would have been interesting. Disturbing, yet interesting. Well, there's big news in Cowville, my friends. That's right, if you are a cow, pay very close attention to these next two stories. It was reported this week that cows are responsible for 1/4 of all of the methane emissions in this country. The other 3/4 are the sole responsibility of my Uncle Bernie. But cows produce, on the average, of 400 pounds of methane emissions every year per cow. That's right, each cow is cranking out 400 pounds of methane gas. Now, cow farting and burping, which are disgusting acts in their own right, are what is causing all of these emissions. So scientists are now trying to come up with a cure for cow gaseousness in the form of, are you ready for this? Cow Beano. That's right, they're coming up with Beano for cows. I don't know how they're going to take it or they're just going to drop a pill into the food, but watch for that. It's going to ruin it for the cows, though. No longer will they be able to do that, hey, pull my hoof trick. They used to do that like hundreds of times a day. The other big cow news comes to us from Germany, where scientists have discovered that cows seem to have a built-in compass. After studying hundreds of satellite photos taken around the world, scientists discovered that cows tend to line themselves up in a north-south direction. This is where we get that phrase, hey, you look like the north end of a southbound cow. So if you happen to come across a cow which has not had their daily dose of bovine Beano, I would suggest staying on either their east or west side, just as a little safety precaution. Finally, in Seattle, Washington, Jane Ballo registered her Shepherd Terrier mix to vote. That's right, she registered her dog to vote. And unfortunately, dogs are not allowed to vote in Seattle, so Ms. Ballo was arrested and charged with intent to commit canine hijinks. Then those charges were dropped this week when it was reported that since he doesn't have any opposable thumbs, it would have been virtually impossible for the dog to work the voting machine anyhow. Duncan the dog, by the way, was a registered. And at this point, you fill in any party name that you like, Republican, Democrat, Independent. Just, you finish the joke the way it makes you laugh the most. That's all I have for you this week. Remember, this week's Funnies contains the words nuns, cows, and dogs, all 4-letter words, so be sure and let the kids watch them when you get home. That's it for this week. I will see you in 2 weeks when I return from Austria. Those hills are alive, yeah, crazy hills with the sound of music. Oh yeah, baby, sound of music. Coming at you.